Here we go. Let's go to Petey. And he says, should we use Michael King as a secret bullpen weapon with recent Suarez struggles? He did it in New York.
Well, in postseason play, you probably get by with 3 efficient starters. Your 4th starter becomes a long reliever if somebody has a problem. But at this point, the Padres are also 7 deep in the bullpen, Petey. So I wouldn't mess with that chemistry. I'd just be judicious as to how often I use Suarez. He's had 3 bad outings in his last 7 appearances. So you gotta walk down the line with him. But it wouldn't surprise me to see them flip Suarez and maybe go to Tanner Scott as the closer. Scott has pitched pretty doggone dominantly since he came from Miami, and you got Jason Adams as a setup guy. I would not make King a reliever. I keep King in the rotation because all kinds of things can change with your starters.
Well, King deserves to be a starter in the playoffs based on how well he pitched this year. But what an embarrassment of riches. I mean, even Martin Perez, the number 5 starter, he'd be a hell of a long reliever in the playoffs.
And who did I say at midseason might be the MVP of the Padres? Ruben Niebla.
Yes.
And here is Martin Perez, journeyman Texas, journeyman Pirates, ERA. When they unpacked his bag at the airport, his ERA was 6.52. His ERA here is like 2.33 since he got here. Ruben Niebla.
Unbelievable. I mean, that's just like magic he's working there. But as far as Suarez goes, we're really worried. He looked good there yesterday, but we'll see how it goes. But hopefully they can just kind of spread the love around. It doesn't always have to be Suarez closing. They can mix it in, and I think that'll take a little pressure off.
Yeah, and right now, here's an interesting stat. Since Yu Darvish and Musgrove came off the DL, they were out for those extended periods.
Mm-hmm.
Since those 2 guys came off and rejoined the other starters, the Dylan Ceases, the Michael Kings, the collective ERA of those 4 guys in the last 18 games since they came off the DL, the collective 2.29.
Holy crap.
Nobody's got a 2.29 ERA, but they do in San Diego. How amazing is that?
I don't think any pitching staff has a 3.29.
Yeah.
Much less a 2.29. And then Perez, he's been terrific too. So, wow. I mean, we went from wondering if we were going to have enough pitching to get through this season, and now it feels like we have too many guys. We're like the opposite problem of the Dodgers.
Is it Tuesday night yet? Hey, PD, enjoy the game. Be with us on Thursday. We'll talk more about it. Next topic.
Okay, let's go here to Raul. He says, Lee, 3 games to glory in the NL West. What's your prediction?
Jack Flaherty can't start every game. Is there any Dodger fan out there that would like to join us on those podcasts? We'll give you your space to express your opinion. Who are they going to give the ball to after Flaherty makes his first appearance against the Padres? There is no other starter. As John said, they're talking about a bullpen day of the most important week of the season. A bullpen day with all the relievers that are on that staff. And by the way, half those relievers are up and down, in and out, upside down. Could the Padres win all 3? Well, they got to keep Ohtani and Showtime in the ballpark, but I guess anything's possible because I don't think the Dodgers have pitching.
Okay, so let's just pretend for a minute. Let's assume this is a bold assumption that the Padres go up to LA and sweep the Dodgers, which I don't think is really going to happen.
So that means by Friday morning, there'll be a first-place tie in the National League West.
Yeah, because it'll go the opposite of what I predict. But if they sweep, it would be a tie at the top.
But Dodger Blue goes to Colorado.
That's the point. And then the Padres got to go to Arizona, and that's a tougher assignment. So I think even if the Padres sweep up in LA, I don't know that they're going to be victorious at the finish line come the end of the season.
Okay. Somebody else jump in here. Give us a different opinion. If you think we're off base, you can pick him off or pick me off. Doesn't matter. Next question.
Okay, let's go to Dave Dog. Raiders. What a big disappointment.
Carolina, you got to be kidding me. The only thing I can say is Antonio Pierce is so emotional. He's just so volatile. He threw his players under the bus after the game. You can't do that. You got to fix it. You got to rally him. But Dave Dog, you got 14 more weeks of this at quarterback. 14 weeks of Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. Yikes. And you can't run the ball worth a bleep. Antonio Pierce last week, his favorite phrase was, this offensive line in this running game is piss poor. It's not a way to rally your team together. The only thing I can say to ease your pain, Dave Dog, Shedeur Sanders, first-round draft pick next year. How would that look?
That would look good. That would be really good. But, this is making me think a little bit. Did you follow the crisis with C.J. Abrams and the Nationals? And he was out late at night.
Till 8 a.m. in the morning on a day game.
Yeah, and that's usually something a Raider player would do. But the Nationals demoted him to AAA. Too bad the Raiders don't have a AAA team, because if you said those guys made business decisions, they checked out. Yeah, those guys need to be demoted and in some cases removed.
Some of those guys look like they have removed themselves already. Okay, Dave Dog, I hope there's a better day. We'll talk about it regardless of what kind of day your Raiders are having. Next one.
Okay, let's go to Callan. He goes, there's a developing story that Gonzaga is going to leave the WCC for the Pac-12. Explain to me how moving the men's basketball team only to the Pac-12 benefits either party involved. Makes no sense.
That's a great question, but that's Gonzaga. That's big-time national reputation. You staple Gonzaga's logo to the Pac-12 resume, and the networks look at that and say, wow. Now suddenly you've got an improved product to put on your TV network, and that's what this is all about. It's not as if the Pac-12 loves San Diego State or Fresno State or whomever. What it is a brand linked with the Pac-12 brand. When they go to the negotiating table for the next TV contract, you got a wow factor there. And from Gonzaga's standpoint, yes, have dominated, have done such a great job in the West Coast Conference, but that's the WCC. You put them in the Pac-12 with a legendary national brand that is San Diego State, and some of these other schools, they're going to make the Pac-12 brand much more recognizable nationwide, which means bigger paydays. And Gonzaga will get a bigger network cut if they remember the Pac-12 rather than the West Coast Conference.
Oh, yeah.
That's slimming it down to the actual reasons why it would make sense.
Well, I think now in the 21st century, we have to think differently, because we normally think just geographically, that they all need to be on the Pacific time zone or whatever to be in the Pac-12. But we need to think in terms of these basketball only schools, kind of like the Big East schools. I don't think a lot of those guys have basketball or football programs, do they? Like St. John's or Creighton. So it's just about loading up all those brands. So the bottom line is eyeballs. And I think, when you think about how college sports are, if you're on the East Coast, you can watch college sports for 18 hours straight, into the middle of the night as long as you have competitive Pacific time zone games. So that makes sense to me, Gonzaga being there. I don't think we need to think of it as they don't fit. I think it's a matter of, like you say, bringing the big names in.
Yeah, taking their logo and putting it next to the Pac-12.
Exactly.
I still don't understand. I mean, the sources that I network with tell me from in the next 48 to 72 hours, the Pac-12 is going to add 2 more. And I just keep hearing through the grapevine, it's going to be Memphis and it's going to be Tulane or Memphis in South Florida. I don't like that at all, even though Memphis has a, quote, nationally recognized program in basketball with Penny Hardaway, but that might be on NCAA probation soon. I like the Gonzaga idea. I floated that. He floated that. I brought it up today to Brian Dutcher at the Aztec press conference. They had their basketball preseason gathering today. And he says it'd be phenomenal for the brand. So he kind of thinks like I think, that this would be great when you go to the negotiating table. You got the Aztecs with a national presence, and you got Gonzaga with a national presence. And we'll see who else out of this other group develops. But that's where we are as of this hour. Callum, that's a very good question. Thank you.
Okay, let's go here to Jason. Wants to talk Chargers. Joey Bosa again every year. Sigh.
He lasted 2 plays and he got hurt. It's a hip and a groin. So he's out again. And it's weird because he's such a great explosive athlete, and yet he keeps getting hurt. Guys roll up on him. Calf injury, knee injury, hip injury, groin injury. He's just got this black cloud hanging all over him. When he's on the field and healthy, paired with Khalil Mack, Jay, he's pretty good. He just can't stay on the field right now. I hate to use this phrase. I used it once, and it was terrible. The Chargers had a number 1 draft pick, a running back. You remember the name, Ryan Matthews, Fresno State.
Yeah.
Very good college player.
Mm-hmm.
Got here, could not stay on the field. He was always hurt. Eventually, I don't know that he lasted 4 years in the league. He was out of here within 2.5. I called him China Doll. They got so upset at me over at the Fortress. But here you're paying big money, high number 1 draft pick, had a great college career at Fresno, and he can't stay on the field. Joey Bosa can't stay on the field right now. It's just terrible.
Yeah, it's weird because his brother Nick, does he have a lot of injury problems too?
He's had some, but Nick played all day yesterday, even though he's hurt. He's got a rib injury that he played.
Wow. Yeah, it's still the Joey Bosa line. He's the Anthony Rendon of the NFL. I think it's fantastic. And we'll credit one of our listeners or viewers for that. But it is crazy. I mean, that what year was he drafted? That was when the Chargers were in San Diego, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Bosa. I think he's a 6th or 7th year veteran now.
Right. So he's been around. But it makes you think of who else was in that draft and maybe the Chargers should have picked.
We got the wrong Bosa.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, Jason, thanks for joining us.
Okay, let's go here to Carlos. And Carlos was kind enough to give us a $1.49 super sticker. Thank you, Carlos. And his question is, go Padres. The Padres should roll the Dodgers. The hitters, they have need to step up and help the pitching.
Well, the key situation from San Diego, and John and I talked about this off the air. You look down that batting order, anybody in that batting order can win you a game. It just does not have to be El Nino Tatis nor La Salsa Machado. It can be Profar. It could be the kid, Jackson Merrill. It could be Crony. It could be the catcher, Higgy. I mean, it's amazing how many games have won with different contributions. The Dodgers' top 4 are spectacular. Showtime and Mookie and Freddie and Will Smith. The rest of the Dodger batting order, substandard offensively, occasional pop a home run, etc. And then I just think the Padres right now, the Padres are the most complete team, maybe the most healthy team of the ones fighting for these key spots in the National League West. And the Dodgers, despite the stars at the top of your batting order and your box score in the morning paper, the Dodgers right now have the worst pitching situation I have ever seen in modern day baseball. Please tell me who you're going to give the starting ball to, aside from Jack Flaherty, after he pitches the first game. I can't think of anybody. Now, because you got the Yamamoto setback, and there is no Kershaw, and Buehler is 1-6, and Bobby Miller and his 8.52 ERA is already back in AAA, and there's not going to be a reappearance of Gavin Stone. He's gone for the rest of the year with the shoulder inflammation. Who are you going to have pitch?
On paper, it's looking good for the Padres. But as a Padre fan, I don't want to get ahead of myself because we've never won anything. A Dodger fan will be the first one to remind you that we're their little brother. We're their little sister. We're minor league, and the San Diego is nothing compared to LA. And it's hard when they've got the rings and we don't. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but you're right. They've gotten contributions up and down that lineup, and that's usually a recipe for success.
AJ Preller, Executive of the Year, best roster building job he's ever done. Mike Schilt, another 90-win season with a bunch of setbacks along the way with those pitchers. 90 wins, playing for first place, starting. Is it Tuesday night yet? Hey, Carlos, thank you for joining us.
Okay, let's go to Chris. Hacksaw. So it turns out Sam Darnold can play a little bit. Goes to show bad organizations could put a stranglehold on a player's development. Reaction. And glad to know you'll be safe crossing streets tonight with that wardrobe choice.
Thank you very much. I'm colorblind. Don't beat me up. It's been amazing. Minnesota 3-0. You are kidding me, right? Minnesota 3-0. Let their running backs go. Let their top pass rusher go. Do have Justin Jefferson. Minnesota 3-0 with Sam Darnold. Speaks volumes of Kevin O'Connell teaching X's and O's and his system as head coach. I'm just awed. Minnesota 3-0. You got to be kidding me. Minnesota, Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl with those two Neanderthal offenses.
Well, they met in the 70s, didn't they?
Yeah, way back in the day.
Fran Tarkenton, Chuck Foreman.
Yeah, but that
was a long time ago.
That was a few third down and longs ago. Kevin O'Connell obviously has had great impact on Sam Darnold. And you are correct. Chris, you make a really valid point of bad organizations can screw up young quarterbacks or put them in situations in which those young quarterbacks can't do really well. Over in Carolina right now with the whole Bryce Young situation. So it happens a bunch of places. So we'll see. They're 3-0. You can't take the 3 wins away. Do they have enough players to go 14 more weeks without having this thing cave in on them. Only time's going to tell.
Was it the CBS pregame show? I think it might have been Parsons. No, who's the former Steelers coach? Cowher. I was thinking the jaw. And I think he said that Kevin McConnell was the quarterback whisperer. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, that's a clever line. But, Sam Darnold, he was like #1 overall at a USC like about 5-6 years ago. And he just went to the New York Jets.
Yeah. And look how that worked out.
Yeah. Now the time is right.
So far, so good. Chris, thanks for the input. Next one, Fans Forum.
Okay, let's move on here down to John. He says the Dodgers have history, but this Padre team seems to have the hunger this season. No city or fan base in North America deserves a championship more than San Diego. Hoping this will be the magic year for my old home.
John is based out of the District of Columbia. He's a longtime follower. So when, we did Sports Talk Radio on 690, 1090, John was with us, and we found out that we were going to do this podcast. John was jumping in and emailing me. John will be up at 3:00 in the morning, DC time, following the Padre games.
Outstanding.
I don't know when he ever sleeps. He writes me emails at 2 a.m. He's as wild as the late, great Peter Seidler. Send me emails at 2:30 in the morning. It's going to be fun. Padres collectively are a really good team, and so many things have changed in that clubhouse, in that dugout, and on that roster to make them, John, where they are right now. So, it's going to be great. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's just going to be great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But, it's interesting that John says there's no city or fan base in North America that deserves a championship more. Sometimes Sports Illustrated and other writers will stack rank, the most, winless cities in America. And often it is San Diego and Cleveland, but I think that was before LeBron won one of those with the Cavaliers.
Yeah, but the Browns haven't done it since 1964. Cleveland had my Indians, your Guardians, haven't done it in a long, long time. So it's been quite a drought here. And I'm not talking about the weather and rainfall amounts either. So we'll see. We'll see what this thing, and, a week from now, it'll be the eve of the playoffs. We'll get through this weekend. We'll see what our emotional status is next Monday, but the playoffs start on Tuesday. And that's a whole different environment.
Playoffs?
Yeah.
You talking about playoffs? Okay, let's go on down the line here. Let's go to Roberto. He's got another interesting Padre question. Where would you place Jake Cronenworth in the lineup?
Well, are you talking about position, or are you talking about spot in the batting order? One of the theories, one of the rumors when I'm down there at Petco Park, Jake is not hitting left-handed pitching at all. He's batting like 201. And what they're talking about a little bit might be some type of platoon. Now, Hassan Kim is not ready to come back. Hassan Kim has just been sent to Arizona. He still can't throw across his shoulder and across the diamond. So he's not going to play. He's going to stay, he won't be I don't think he'll be on the postseason roster, at least to start. So that might scuttle the idea that they might go to Jake in some type of platoon situation. But Cronenworth is just like anybody else. He can win you a game. When you least expect it, he hits one into the Crone zone. So just collectively, this team collectively is better than any of them are probably individually in terms of carrying a team. Collectively, they can.
Cronenworth's an interesting guy. I mean, first of all, when he's on the field, he always looks like he's annoyed at something, and annoyed at a person or a situation or the opposing team. He's had huge moments in Padre history, and he's gone through these rough spots. I remember he made a comment once. He says, who would have ever thought that here I'd be on a playoff team with Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis and batting third in the lineup, which he had done for a great period of time. So, when we got him, he was sort of a throw-in in that deal. It turned out to be a pretty good deal for the Padres.
Yeah. Credit scouting. Credit boots on the ground. He was a throw-in in the Will Myers deal. And Myers was here and played okay.
No, it was a Tommy Pham deal.
From Tampa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we got Hunter Renfroe. Pardon me. We got Hunter Renfroe, went to Tampa. Oh, and then we got Tommy Pham, and then we got Cronenworth as a throw-in.
But that goes back to my theory with AJ Preller. Boots on the ground.
There you go.
And they discovered Cronenworth. They saw potential coming out of the University of Michigan. Not bad for an old hockey player, huh? That's amazing.
It is amazing.
Crony's a great contributor. Rob, thank you.
Okay, let's go here to Javi. Dodgers only really need to win one of the three, even though I think they'll take two.
Oh, you're joining us. You're messaging us with your heart. That's okay. Sometimes I wish you'd message with your head. So you can cheerlead Dodger Blue, Jovi. Please tell me who is going to start games 2 and 3 of the series. And then, by the way, who's going to be your starters once you get to the playoffs? Because even though if the Dodgers win the division, they're going to get the first round bye. But 4 days is not going to solve all the issues with your starting pitching because those guys, I don't think those guys can come back. And for every good first outing Yamamoto had coming off the disabled list, the second outing was terrible. For every good dominant outing Buehler had, either side of those two starts, he got lit up. So, Jovi, who you can give the ball to? Who you going to trust? You got all these series, these best of 5, best of 7 series. You don't have any starting pitching.
But they're going to end up winning these games like 11-8.
Okay.
That's the only way it's going to work. Now, imagine a scenario where the Padres are up 1 in the 9th inning against the Dodgers, and we've got Suarez, and then here comes Ohtani. Do you trust Suarez to pitch to Ohtani in the bottom of the ninth down when the Dodgers are down 1, or do you bring in Tanner Scott?
I bring in Tanner Scott right now because I don't think you can trust Suarez's stuff. And Ohtani's hitting it off everybody.
Yeah.
But Tanner Scott's got wicked stuff coming from the left side in on him.
Remember the Padres had Alec Jacob. He was sort of like the secret weapon. Was it him or was it another guy?
That was Jacob that threw whatever he threw.
Yeah, it was like this funky sidearm thing that was always getting Ohtani out.
So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then we got the playoffs next week. It's going to be so much fun.
Okay, well, here's the shout out for David. $50.50. Right on, David. Thank you very much.
Hey, anybody else would like to contribute because the host is the one that's writing all the checks. So you can have this podcast so you can make rude and crude comments about my clothes.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But if you'd like to contribute, John can explain how all that works.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to, you make a voluntary contribution. Super Chat is a feature built into YouTube. So you can leave a donation, and we're very grateful for that. Thank you very much.
It's better than us taxing you. And who knows, hell, that might happen too. Next one.
Okay. Force Ghost Fabio. Memphis has declined to move to the Pac-12 and is staying in the AAC.
Okie dokie. You just stay there where you are. I wouldn't be surprised to see Memphis wind up in the Atlantic Coast Conference, because that's got much more basketball name recognition. So that's fine with me. I don't want to see anything in the Deep South. I don't want to see anybody with no tradition, Tulane, South Florida. You kidding me? Just go get Gonzaga, and then we'll see if there's something else out there. You see if I like the Air Force Academy and the Pac-12 because of the TV network and the notoriety globally. But the AAC is going after Air Force because they already have Army and Navy, and that'd be kind of a unique addition to the military commitment there.
Sports fans are always thinking, well, eventually, like you said, Cal and Stanford are going to wake up and say, this sucks. Why are we out here in the East Coast? But they're locked into that deal, right? For how long?
Well, I think there are exit fees. And not everybody there in the ACC is happy about these guys from here.
They got to travel the other way.
Yeah, they just might cut them loose. And then if the UCLA situation blows up in their face, do they wake up one morning and say, this is not a good idea? Now you got UCLA coming back into this conference with Cal, with Stanford, with the expansion already made, and maybe Gonzaga. Now you got a very different brand.
Wouldn't it be funny if San Diego State is at the top of the new Pac-12 and UCLA comes begging to get back in? It's always usually the opposite way. Funny how it all works.
They'd let them in.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's go here to 4RXLA. Quick takes. Dodgers lose first round. Roberts and Pryor fired, and Schumacher is hired. Raiders dumpster fire. AP and 29 coaches might not last the 4-13 season.
Well, that's an awful lot you put on the table there. Dave Roberts has got 1 year left on his contract. Pryor is under a multi-year contract. They are not to blame for the epicenter of all the injuries with the pitchers, but the Dodgers are going to evaluate, quote, the Dodger way, how they draft them, how they treat them, how they develop them, what they demand from them. There's just a different situation that exists in Major League Baseball. It's everywhere. I mean, I think as of today, there's 55 pitchers who have now had elbow surgery since spring training, and we're into September. Skip Schumacher's name has been mentioned already with the White Sox. So that may be a landing spot there, but that's a total rebuild mode. The Raiders situation, ugly. And all I can say is they got a good general manager who's a very credible person in Tom Telesco. They have not had some credible people as football decision makers in recent years, maybe even decades. Think Shedeur Sanders. If this turns out to be a disaster, as you say, dumpster fire, high number 1 pick, you find a way to get the quarterback from Colorado, and that kind of changes everything. And I think you'd agree with me. Shedeur looks pretty good in black.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be cool.
You know, and have the whole Coach Prime thing around the Raiders.
Ah.
The mystique would be on, full tilt. I just want to comment, though. Now, let's imagine a scenario that the Dodgers win the NL West and they get into the playoffs. And regardless of whatever the Padres do, that the Dodgers lose, they don't make it to the World Series. And LA fires, as 4XLA says, so it fires Dave Roberts and Mark Pryor. Would that be like the Chargers firing Marty Schottenheimer after going 14-2?
Sure. Because Dave Roberts has won 8 straight Western Division titles, been to the World Series, got 1 ring. You may say they deserve a lot more. Behind the scenes, it's just not Dave Roberts making decisions. It's the analytics guys handing down pieces of paper with what we recommend you do in this situation. And Dave Roberts following marching orders. I don't think Dave Roberts' job is in jeopardy, but I do think what is in jeopardy is the whole medical staff and what they need to evaluate what they do with pitching. Why are so many Dodger pitchers breaking down, all with the same injuries? Elbow, ligament, forearm. I went back and dug up. Dodgers have used the disabled list for pitching 98 times in 3 years. 98 times have put pitchers on the DL for a wide variety of things. But the preponderance of the young Dodger pitchers all have this. That means something's wrong in terms of teaching or the mandates of you get 100-mile-an-hour fastball, the mandates of what you throw that has wicked movement that causes this. So the Dodgers are going to have to do a big evaluation because right now they lead the world in elbow surgeries.
I think I figured it out.
Go ahead.
The Dodgers pitching, we can blame it on the curse of the eminent domain in Chavez Ravine when they were dragging out the Latino people out of their homes to claim that land to build Dodger Stadium in the 1950s. And it's finally coming back to zap them.
You and conspiracy theories. What's your political affiliation? No, stop the conspiracy theories. It's just baseball. It's a bad situation. Baseball's got a real situation, but they can't outlaw those type of pitchers. And the LA Times did a great investigative piece, and they talked to Walker Buehler just last week. It was one of the great things I've ever seen written because they broke down all the pitching injuries. And Walker Buehler said, yes, they teach us to get max velocity, and we become max effort pitchers. We know the risks. We take the risks so we can win. We want to succeed by taking the risks so we can get our contracts. And if we break down and need surgery, Walker Buehler's statement was, so be it, I'm a Dodger pitcher. That's the mindset.
Well, let's say Greg Maddux came out of the sky and landed here in 2024. Would he be successful?
He's such a unicorn. Is that the correct phrase? Mm-hmm. He's so uniquely different. I just don't see a hell lot of guys who can paint the black the way Greg Maddux painted the black.
Well, like other guys like Zach Davies and there's another pitcher for the Cubs that throw a lot of off speed. They're, classic pitchers and they're crafty and clever.
But they're also the 10th guy on the roster who gets cut and doesn't get re-signed, is out in the street.
Yeah. And their fastball tops out at like 91.
Yeah.
So
Maddux was such a unique individual, but there's just not a lot of guys that paint the black that way.
I just wonder if he would even get a shot. At some point would his development stop because he's not throwing hard enough, or the coaches would make him throw hard and then he'd get injured or something would go wrong.
I just keep giving him the ball every 4th or 5th day because last I checked, he keeps getting guys out.
Yes, he does.
End of argument. No more conspiracies from you. Shut up.
Okay. All right. Hey, let's get David involved. David left us the nice gift. David said, I'm from Los Angeles, but I've been in San Diego for over 12 years. I just want a fun series. Let's go Dodgers and Padres.
We've been spoiled here. John and I, we've both been to Petco Park this year. Damn stadium is electric. 2 years ago, I'd sit in that press box and the building would shake. The noise was so loud. It was like an NFL playoff game atmosphere. And that's become Petco Park. 56 sellouts this year, John. Total attendance, all-time record, 3.31 million this season at home. That's phenomenal. So the environment here is just electric. And I have no doubt that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the environment up at Dodger Stadium is going to be like that. Now, Padre fans have traveled a lot. Dodger fans probably will sell some tickets to guys wearing brown and gold.
Mhm.
So, yeah, there will be some beat LA in that stadium, but it's going to be cool.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure a lot of the celebrities will be out there, the Hollywood guys. But, Padre fans often will have respect for the Dodger team, but Padre fans often hate on LA fans, and they're like, oh, these guys are a bunch of hoodlums or whatever it is. And so I just hoping that there's peace, right? Peace and prosperity in the stadium, but I'm looking for a hell of a series.
Be loud, be proud. They probably will on both sides. Okay, let's do a couple social media here before we put a lid on this one today.
I want to before we do, I want to get Roy in because he's commenting on something that you were commenting on. Dodgers will pitch Knack, Flattery, and Bueller. Dodger offense covers lack of Dodger pitching. Consider this: Dodger pitching has been in shambles all season, yet we have the best record in baseball.
Knack, rookie postseason is a totally different environment. But you're correct. Landon Knack has pitched pretty well. I think his record is 3-4. He's given some quality starts. He's had one bad start, I believe, in all. But this is coming postseason. This is such a different environment. And, I had to throw cold water on John about the playoffs. I said, yeah, you want the Padres there, but please understand this. In postseason, starting a week from Tuesday, you're not playing the White Sox, the Rockies, Pirates, or the Marlins. You're playing real batting orders with real talent. So, maybe they can trust Landon Knack. Maybe they're going to have to trust Landon Knack because he's the only one of the young arms that's still there that's healthy. Every one of those other guys is gone for a wide variety of reasons. So, what a struggle.
Yeah, this is insane how the whole thing is breaking down. And now you got a guy that's named after the song My Sharona as a starting pitcher for the Dodgers. Hey, before social media, we got hot off the sports wire from Callan. He says, the AAC announced that UTSA, Memphis, USF, and Tulane will not be leaving the conference for the Pac-12.
Hear, hear. I couldn't get excited about any rivalry with Memphis or UTSA, Texas San Antonio. I've already been to the Alamo. I don't need to go to the Alamo again. Just go get Gonzaga. Just take care of business, improve the brand. Thanks for joining us, Callum. John, social media, sound off.
Sound off. Okay, here we go. Social media. Okay, we'll talk a little Raiders football. This is from Guy, and he says, we haven't had a quarterback since Rich Gannon. We should have tried to get Baker Mayfield when he was available.
Well, Baker didn't have a good rep, though. He kind of bounced around. He kind of self-destructed in Cleveland. He was with the Rams. Now he's kind of, reinstituted himself that they really kind of like him in Tampa Bay. But, geez, he got sacked 7 times on Sunday. He just got roasted. Prior to the collection you have with Minshew is you had Garoppolo, but then he got hurt. Couldn't keep him on the field, and his career is kind of unraveled because of a lot of injuries, and now he's just coming off the suspended list with San Francisco. They've gone through so many guys. I call it the Jeff George trauma. You remember Jeff George? Jeff George was going to solve all of Al Davis's problems, and he got there, and he was washed up, and he didn't play well when he was a young stud with the Indianapolis Colts. So just get me Shedeur Sanders in the Raider Nation, wearing black. That would be an addition that I might even subscribe to.
It's been so long, since the Raiders had a good quarterback. Like Rich Gannon, that's what did they make the Super Bowl in 2002, I think. It was here in San Diego. And there's always been that stat that the Raiders have had 1 million coaches in that time. And they probably had 1 million quarterbacks too.
I don't, please tell me, when was the last quarterback they developed? Not rented.
Aiden O'Connell. I don't know who is there. Maybe Derek Carr. They drafted him, didn't they?
So let him go.
But Jeff George, he always reminded me, he was like the Kelly Leak of the NFL, you know? It just kind of had the mullet going on, business in front, party in the back.
Mr. Me, Myself, and I.
Yeah, and he was a gunslinger, but yeah, he couldn't get it done. Okay, let's move on here. Talk a little Pac-12. This is with Don. He says, add UNLV, Cal, Stanford, and San Jose State, and it's pretty compelling.
San Jose State doesn't have any money, and there's not great tradition there. You know, you may argue with me, well, that's Bay Area. Well, you got Bay Area covered if you're bringing Cal and Stanford back. Vegas doesn't have any tradition. Yeah, it's a bigger TV market. But hey, when he takes wifey to Vegas to see a show and movie, they're not going to see a running Rebel game.
Hey, we went to the Mountain West basketball tournament in March.
Okay, well, you don't have a lot of friends. I understand that. But, you know, I don't think Vegas brings a hell of a lot. Where's their tradition? They don't have any tradition in football. And geez, Jerry Tarkanian running Rebels back in the day was really back in the. So I don't know that fits. And there's something, I don't know how to describe this. There's something academically deficient in the UNLV system. And the Pac-12 wants a different type of leadership with academic situations. And they think they've got that with the schools that they are bringing in. I think Vegas is an outlier out there. I just don't think that they fit. Air Force Academy and Gonzaga, I'd kind of like that. But the Mountain West the Pac-12 has said, we want 9 football playing members. Want 9. So you can have 8 conference games. So they're going to find 3 more. I don't know who the 3 are going to be.
Interesting. But, you know, now that Cal and Stanford are gone, the whole academic snottiness of the Pac-12, I think we can kind of lower the temperature on that a bit. UNLV, yeah, that run with Tarkanian, that was just such a great, fun run. But who else was there? There was Randall Cunningham, and I think there's an ESPN announcer that was a quarterback. What's his name? I can't remember his name.
Trent Dilfer. Oh, no, he was at Fresno. There have been a number of quarterbacks that came out of UNLV who played in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of tradition there, and they've got Allegiant Stadium. But see, I think we have to take away all the old, you know, stereotypes of who are in these conferences. I think you just say UNLV, big market, up and coming city, a lot of things going on there. Let's get in.
It's not their citizens. They're all visitors coming with their money bags to go to the tables and go to the shows. They're not coming to see Rebel basketball.
Did you see the turnout for, what was that first game of the year? It was LSU playing. It was in Vegas. Vegas.
LSU
was against SC, wasn't it? Yeah.
But who was there? People from Baton Rouge and people from LA.
Well, that's the point. So if you have a Pac-12 team in Vegas, you don't think UCLA fans are going to go to Vegas and watch their team play?
But I don't think a ton of people are going to watch TV, and that's what the whole TV contract thing is all about.
Oh, they're going to watch TV because the dude on his couch in Pennsylvania wants to have a college football to watch at like 10 at night, you know, for an all-dayer that they're pulling, you know, drinking beer, watching college football on Saturday.
Why are you violating the rule? The rule when we did this is you're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion, but you never argue with a sports talk show host. Why are you violating the rule?
One man's opinion. I'm another man. All right. Okay. Let's get in a couple. We have 2 more social medias. Let's try to squeeze these in. This is from Korean Bear. And he says, Lee, you can't, he's talking about the Dodgers and the pitching problems. You can't say max effort and leave it like some ambiguous term. You think any major league player will admit to not pitching with max effort? Just pace yourself. Love you, my man, but this was a bit of a hit job.
Nah, the reality is max effort is what you throw, how you throw it. And the big issue in baseball in the last 3 years is the grip of the ball that caused the wicked movement of the ball. And the grip of the ball is a different way to hold the ball now. It's not like this anymore. It's not like this anymore. It's this. And this causes unbelievable pressure down here, which is why you get the resultant torn elbow ligaments, forearm issue. This whipping action and the way you hold the ball causes. I had sports medicine doctors put a ball in my hand and say, okay, grip it this way. And you feel it. And now you're supposed to whip it like that to get to 100 miles an hour with that pressure on your elbow. That's max effort the way it's being taught right now. I mean, if you watch the TV broadcast, they shoot it from behind the mound, and you see those pitchers do that. That's the violent arm action from the grip and the way they throw the ball now. And that's why there've been 55 elbow surgeries since spring training.
Dr. Hacksaw, kinesiologist.
I did not cut class that day to go drinking uptown. I watched that.
Yeah, it's weird. But talking about Max Everett, you just kind of flip it around. Do you ever notice that when Manny Machado swings a bat, it's not max effort? I mean, he just gets it in that zone, he barrels it up, and uses the pitcher's max effort against him.
Yep.
It's pretty clever how some of these guys use physics to their
It
advantage.
doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes he swings and misses a lot of stuff that goes out of the zone.
Yeah, but he gets enough over the fence to count.
One more.
Okay, well, just a quick one here. This is from a quick one from Douglas, and he says Kenny Mayne played quarterback at UNLV. That's the ESPN guy I was thinking about.
Not very well, I might mention, because I don't remember him at all.
You don't? No, yeah, he was a clever guy. I
remember
him.
Dallas Cowboys had a quarterback, Glenn Carano. He was the first really good quarterback at UNLV. Now, he preceded Randall Cunningham.
Okay, so that's like in the 60s or 70s?
70s.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go here, talk about Coach Prime. And this is from Florida Sports World, and he says, if I was an athlete, I'd never interact nor give Peter King an interview. King is the guy who only votes for his buddies for the Hall of Fame.
I don't know that that's a fair critique. I was on a Zoom call with Peter King last week. We're both graduates of Ohio University, and they had him on, they had me on, for guys who came through the journalism or the radio TV curriculum and did something with their careers. And he was fascinating, and he talked about all the great people he interviewed. He's a great writer and creative genius and all that, but he was just offended that Coach Sanders sat there and said, I'm not answering your questions unless you refer to me as Coach Prime. And Peter said, I don't do that. I'm not going to sales pitch you about your brand. I'm here to talk CU football, players, transfer portal, recruiting, what you need to do to fix what was something great under Bill McCartney and the big dogs. I'm not referring to you as Coach Prime. End of interview. Peter said, that's fine. I'll just go interview somebody else. And he did.
Hearing this from Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, it's kind of fun how that all works out. But
I don't demand that you call me Hacksaw.
No.
I also don't think you should be calling me dumbass, but that's okay.
You're always Hacksaw. You are Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, and that's why we love you. Peter King, for me, he's been with Sports Illustrated for a while. I remember, this is kind of a bit of a tangent, but some people used to think of, remember George Will?
Sure.
Political commentator. They used to say that he was sort of like a modern day philosopher, kind of the way he carried himself.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought of Peter King in a similar way in the sports world, that he had a certain level of prestige and aura around him. Yeah. And he wasn't just like your regular scrub journalist. I mean, this dude was kind of up on a pedestal.
He was accomplished. I mean, when you work at that level, and you have inside access to the Belichicks and the Parcells of the world, because you're responsible of what you write, and you don't take cheap shots. You just write the story and create whatever you think the angle is. I think you earn that respect as a journalist. But he's not a pompous ass. I mean, I've interviewed him a couple of times. I interviewed George Will a couple of times.
You did?
I thought it was really unique. This when he was with the Washington Post, but he was also really a huge baseball fan. So I interviewed him at spring training. He was very close to Larry Lucchino. And I came up to him and I said, hey, I'm such and such. I do a sports talk show in San Diego. We're the Padre flagship. I'd love to sit and just talk baseball because I know you love the game. He said, no problem. Let's go sit over here in the corner of the dugout. We did 15, 20 minutes. It was really great. But there's an aura that they carry because they're very successful at what they do, because they're very well respected for what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an aura like, I'm Howard Cosell. Do you want to talk to me? Young man?
Young man.
Young man. That's what Howard called me all the time. That's okay.
I remember seeing one time, it was George Will, and I think it was, what's her name? Doris Kearns Goodwin.
Sure.
She was a presidential historian.
Yes.
Knows all this stuff. And they were both talking Brooklyn Dodgers baseball. And it was really cool to hear these political nerds and political journalists to be able to speak very well about sports.
Well, they grew up as fanatical Brooklyn Dodger fans. And Doris Goodwin Kearns, does amazing stuff as it relates to, quote, political history, but she grew up in a baseball family, so she has all kinds of knowledge about the inner workings of the old Brooklyn Dodgers and the O'Malley family and what Walter did to relocate it to Chavez Ravine, and so she's got obviously opinions. But The aura of great people is because of what they've accomplished and how they treated people and how respected their work is. It's not the aura that I'm loud and you got to respect me because of who I am, aka ex-president, that kind of shtick. So I don't know what my aura is, except I'm filling time here with everybody following us on live stream.
Well, you come in the room with a fluorescent yellow shirt, so that creates the aura, the energy in the room.
I apologize for my neon shirt. That's life. Suck it up. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed our